confident are you in your team after today as you inch closer to the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think today was a good day for special teams. That was kind of the emphasis today. We hit all 4 core in the special teams, 2 deep. So this was a good gauge to be able to see where we're at. Now, we feel good about it because we did some out at higher ground as well. We feel like we got 2 of the best punters in the country. And then I think our kickers have done. We had 2 really good kickers. And then Hawks has been good kickoff guys. So our specialists and I think have been very solid, but I also think we got a lot more depth as far as the teams go and all that. So I think that was a big emphasis. And then today, obviously, offense and defense. We didn't run as many plays today, probably 65 snaps or so, something like that. But got some good work. I mean, held out some guys, didn't get as many reps as guys. We know what they can do and want to see what some of the other guys can do. So obviously go back and watch the film and see where we're at. But I mean, I'm pleased where we're at right now in camp. I think, dinged up a little bit offensive line-wise, so, didn't have as many guys to go here toward the end. We all know about our defensive line, where we're at there. So, but I do feel confident we'll be able to get several of these guys back over the next week.
And the D-lineman making strides since we spoke last week.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Cam Rutherford's the guy that was out, but I think he's been back the last 2 practices. So he made some good plays yesterday and then today. So I think he's certainly a guy that we'll have to count on to get into the mix. And I think, some of the same guys we've talked about are already making plays. And then now it'll be a fact of, all right, who's the young guys that are going to be trying to step in there and make some plays, like a Parker. I mean, I feel like he'll have to be a guy that'll be able to help us this year.
Harris Adams, a guy who brings a lot of snap experience from last year. What kind of impact do you think he can have?
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Harris Adams.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you got some experience under the belt, I mean, that's going to help you. And I think he certainly will be a guy that can create some size for us up front and to be able to get some push, and that's what he can do. And, so utilize that, what he can do in those certain situations, whether it be short yardage goal line and be able to have him in the game. I think we'll save some reps for some of our other guys when we need them on those other situations and downs.
In terms of position competitions and battles and starting positions, how close are you to having the final 22?
I think we're close. I think, when you think about defense, whoever really starts the game, I mean, they're going to play, but they're not going to play the whole game. I mean, I feel like, in defense, we're going to play 2 deep at most every position on defense. We want to be fresh. We want to be able to rotate those guys out. We did not have that luxury last year. We feel like we got that more of a luxury this year to be able to rotate some guys. And there's not a lot of drop-off from the 1s and 2s. I feel like the 2s that are getting in there, they're getting some great reps, and they'll get us some good minutes on the field. So I think offensively, we feel very, very confident about our offensive line, our starting group there. Feel really good about our tight end room. Feel good about Corey Counter at running back, working, all right, who's the next guys coming off the bench there to be able to, because we know we're going to play 3 or 4 running backs. And then at wide receiver, I still think we're trying to figure all that out. We'll feel like we'll play around 6 or 7 guys at wide out. Like, who are those 6 or 7 guys going to be? And then obviously, everybody wants to know about the quarterback. It's been a great battle over the last 2 weeks, and we'll continue to see where we're at after this film right here. I would suspect, maybe first of the week, middle of the week, by the middle of the week for sure, we'll be able to name a starter on that.
How important is a day like today specifically for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good day, but I mean, we're taking the collective body of work. I mean, as a quarterback, we've charted every single rep, the decision making, how accurate the throw is. We put a numerical value on that, completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio. Every single thing is charted, and so we're going to look at all that and go off of that to figure out who do we think is going to give us the best chance to go win games. Having said that, again, we know that when you go through a football season at that position, quarterback, particularly, we like to run the quarterback. We're going to need our guys. I mean, we're going to need more than one. And so we feel really good about a situation that we're in with 3 solid guys that we think can go out there and play and win.
How much has a guy like Manny Covey helped? You're keeping the miles off of Corey, obviously. How much has he helped himself?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did outstanding today. He had some tremendous runs today. His stock's been rising throughout camp the last 2 weeks. I thought today he kind of just really solidified that to say, hey, you guys can play me, and I'll be fine. He runs hard. He's put on some good weight in the offseason. I think he's matured maybe as much as any freshman from last year's class. And I think he'll help us in the teams as well, special teams. So he's a guy who I really think as a redshirt freshman will be a strong contributor for our football team.
He just got back from higher ground and got a new facility coming in. Higher ground will still continue to have some role in this team.
It certainly will. I think this day and age, when you think about the turnovers that we're having in college football from year in and year out, that time out there is invaluable for us, those 2 weeks, man. You just get to know everybody. We're a much more connected team after the 2 weeks we just had out there. We're so excited. I can't say that enough about the Shakley Center that we're getting ready to build over here, that we are building right now, to get in that building, man. We cannot wait to get there. We got a big event today, putting the last piece of steel on that building, so we're excited about that. But I do think you know, it's a unique opportunity each and every year to go to higher ground to spend with our players and our staff. I think it's been outstanding.
At the risk of this being a very broad question, why is a facility like that so important for you guys as a program?
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely important when you look at the power level and you go visit some of these facilities across the country of these teams that have these facilities, a brand new indoor, a nice indoor, you know, with the state-of-the-art training room, locker room, meeting rooms for our players, a cafeteria dedicated for our athletes. You know, in order for us to compete at this level, you know, we have to have it. Like, you don't want to have it, you have to have it to be able to compete. And it's all because of recruiting. When we bring recruits in, whether it be in the high school recruit or the portal, and they've already been to these schools in the Big 12 who have these things, they want to see that here. We have not had that until now, and we're able to show them this, and you know, we can't say it enough. Can't wait to get in that new building. It will help us tremendously as we move forward in the program.
Is there one aspect of it that's your favorite?
No, well, probably the one aspect to me that I love the most is how connected we'll be able to be within the building. You're in the weight room, you're right to the indoor. Like our coach's office are one floor up. We're going to be able to interact with our staff and our players on a daily basis so much more frequently than we do now. We're on the 7th floor. The weight room and training room's down on the 2nd floor. I mean, you know, at 1st floor. So it's a long ways. I mean, we're just going to be able to be more connected. And I think this day and age in college football and basketball, you need to be connected.
How would you assess the offensive execution in the red zone throughout fall camp?
You know, it's something we're continuing to work on. You know, we're not game planning versus our defense. We're running plays, and to see if our guys have to be right fundamentally. They're blocking, hitting the right holes, throwing and catching. I do feel like our throw game in the red zone throughout camp has been much better. We've made a lot of strides in the throw game, which will help us. You know, and you don't feel like, okay, every single time we have to run the football when you get inside the 10-yard line. We feel like, okay, now we can open it up a little bit more, make them defend the pass, and not have so many guys within the box like we had last year.
One more for Coach.
Run game has come along the past 2 or 3 days. What's it been like to see that? And was it kind of planned to kind of ratchet it up at the end of fall camp?
Yeah, you know, obviously I think, you know, last year you saw we could run the football against some really stacked boxes there. You know, really trying to be able to push the ball down the field. We were able to accomplish that these two weeks, and we are continuing to come together with the run game. So much of it is all right, who's up front, you know, what tight ends are in the game, because we're playing a lot of guys. But I do feel like, you know, when we get our guys that are ready to play, those starters up front, we feel like we can move the ball, running the football. Corey has been solid the last few practices. We've, you know, obviously held him back a little bit. I want to see what those other guys can do, and those other guys like Chance. I think Chance has had a really great last 4 days. I didn't see as much today, but his 4 days previous to this really showed some toughness and ran the ball hard. Glad to see what Manny did. Vic will be another guy that'll be in the mix running the football. He needs to be that 225-pound hammer. Then when we put him in, he'll get the tough yards. You know, so it's been some great competition there, and we'll need all those guys in the running back room.
Cool. Thanks,
all right,
guys.
thanks guys. Appreciate it.